an indie film, and it has to do with real estate because the director and writer mortgaged her house to make this movie happen, which is very noble of her.
Mhm.
However, because she mortgaged the house, from what I understand, I guess she didn't make enough money or for the movie itself that she had to end up selling her house, which is really, really sad, right?
Right.
And the good thing is she was able to say I was able to fund my own movie from my own pocket. She didn't use anyone else. She also had been told by someone in the movie industry that they would give her $5 million to make this movie, but she had to step away from it as the writer and director. Of course, she didn't want to do that. Her name is Jennifer Esposito. She is a well-known Italian, like yourself, Nick, Italian actress that was in a lot of movies and shows in the early 2000s, and then even recently, like on Blue Bloods. I don't know if
Right.
you've seen her work before, Nick.
I haven't. I haven't watched that show. I've heard good things about it, but you?
How about her in other movies though, or other shows or whatever? She's usually a cop in every movie that I remember seeing.
Yeah, I don't recall seeing any of her movies specifically, but I've
Hmm.
seen a number of the trailers where she's been in them.
Yeah, yeah. She's never really like the main person, the starring
Mm.
actress. She's always like a supporting role, and that's kind of what she talks about. She wanted to do her own movie to give more so women the opportunity to be the star versus always the man,
Right.
and things like that. So she wanted to do her own thing. Unfortunately, it didn't seem to pan out like she wanted. It only grossed $63,000 worldwide, which
Mhm.
is not good,
No.
and not at all. And you know, it's one of those things where she released it in theaters, which is great,
Right.
but like Ben Affleck had mentioned in some podcast he was on, that you can't be spending your own money to
Right.
essentially fund your own movie. It just makes no sense. You got to have
Mhm.
investors. So
You spend about the same amount that you spend on the movie to advertise the movie. So if you spend 25 million to make the movie, you 25 million to advertise the movie. So now you got $50 million into the movie, and from the movie theaters you get back roughly 50%. So if a movie makes $100 million, you get back $50 million.
That's just
So if you
break
get back
even.
$50 million, that's you $25 million movie got to gross 100 million just in
Break
simple
even.
math. And there is a tail and there are secondary revenue streams, but that's one of the things that has made it really hard.
again, it's a noble thing, but it's probably not the best thing to do, especially when you mortgage your own home. She had this beautiful home in the Hamptons, and I'll show it to you now as I share it. I did not suspect that in the Hamptons you can have a small, nice property and it still be semi affordable considering it's the
Mhm.
Hamptons. So we'll take a look at it really quick.
She was taking a risk for herself, which is I think is great, right? And I know that she mentioned in a couple of interviews that one of the main reasons she did it was because there's not many films that are written, directed, and played by women.
Right.
This time it didn't work out.
This is actually, well, before I get into the house, it's the movie. I actually watched the movie. Actually, let me stop sharing this so I could actually talk about that because people are going to want to know.
Yeah.
So the movie is called Fresh Kills. Very odd name. What do you think? Just
I
the
think,
name
yeah, it's a
itself.
little odd name. Yeah.
Okay. So what I learned, I mean, you're a New Yorker, but New York is big, so
Right.
every suburb and neighborhood is different. Um, this is in Staten Island, right? This is when
Yeah.
the mob was going on in Staten Island. I think it was in the 1980s when this
Yeah.
took place, or the 90s, one of the two. Either way, there's in Staten Island, where all the Italians are, many of them. There's a landfill called Fresh Kills,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and that's the reason why she named it that, because this mob family is near the landfill called Fresh Kills
Right.
that was actually they got rid of it in 2001 after 9/11. But when you're such an independent film and you don't have a lot of money behind yourself for marketing, naming something so local to one particular area, I don't think is going to do well, especially when you're trying to make it all over the
Mm-hmm.
country. If she was doing it in New York only, promoting it for whatever reason, it makes more sense. But
Right.
naming it something very particular, it just didn't make sense, especially when there's not a huge star to it. There's
Mm-hmm.
the actor is kind of well known. I put it up on the screen, but the actor is not super well known, but he is in like Tulsa Kings with Sylvester Stallone, but he doesn't
Mm-hmm.
carry a huge torch with him for branding. And that's kind of what
Right.
AJ told me, a friend of mine, that you need a bigger male role, and that was a problem because she wanted to use these young girls and herself as the main stars, and
Yeah.
that's just not how it works according to my friend AJ.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
yeah,
I mean, I think, that's a little bit old school, maybe more
I think it is old school.
anti-feminist
I wouldn't say that, but
mentality, but not saying, it
yeah.
doesn't play a role, of course, right?
According to him, he was saying, I mean, I don't want to speak for him, but this is what I recall, that unfortunately the numbers show the male role tends to get the most money, and that's just the reality. Unless it's like a superstar Angelina Jolie, but you got to be like the top of the top of the top. And in any case, that's kind of what went down here. I did see the movie. I will say the trailer, I didn't like the trailer because it had this, according to AJ, he liked it, but they had it on the cinematography, it had like a sepia. I don't even know if that's the right word, but you know what? Instagram, the old Instagram filters, you would like swipe through it. It had this yellowish old school.
Yes.
Okay. It had that. I didn't like that, but I still ended up watching it because of the podcast today. And if Jennifer Esposito's watching, we're still like, thumbs up for you for funding it yourself. But the movie, the cinematography did not have that weird sepia edit to it. It actually looked normal. It looked like a good cinematography. It looked modern, but the trailer I wasn't about it. And then not to trash the movie, but it was very slow for like 50 minutes. And I was like, geez, this is not too great. And everything else was just okay, but it wasn't great.
Right. I mean, which is probably why it didn't gross much at all,
Right. And then according to like Ben Affleck, he said, if you're going to spend you don't spend your own money, because if you spend $25 million on making a movie, you better match that with marketing. I don't know if she matched whatever she spent. I don't know if she matched it with marketing. So if you spend 25 million on making the movie, you spend another 25 million marketing the movie. That's 50 million.
Right.
And then he said, when you put it out in theaters, they take 50% of whatever you make. So if the movie makes 100 million, you only get 50 million, then you're basically break even. So that's what he was saying. There's no point to make a movie like that. And if she made 63,000, that means the movie probably really made 120,000 maybe. Well, it was gross, so who knows? I mean, 60 to 120 is still not good.
Still not. Yeah, that's not
even close.
No. But I mean, back to the house. I don't know. You want to bring it up now, or?
Yeah. Let's go. All I can say is this is a beautiful home that sold prior to Christmas. So it's in the Hamptons, East Hamptons. I'm not familiar with the Hamptons, if it's a better part of the neighborhood or not, but I think it's just stellar. This is her, by the way.
Yeah. That's
Jennifer Esposito. Very attractive woman. Very, she that's why she lands these roles, and she's a good actress. I mean, I've seen her work. But in any case, I mean, she's got really great taste, and her agent was Nancy Mizrahi of Saunders and Associates. I think it was up for sale at 1.595, as I see here, and she ended up selling it for 1.6 million, if I'm not mistaken. But anyways, like this is like really dialed in, really cool house. It's not big. I think it's a 2-bed, 2-bath, and it's just a really unique home. I mean, look at this. We have this is probably the primary bedroom. You got post beam ceilings, high voltage ceilings with the skylight, which is really cool.
Yeah.
And then she's got a detached little, like, it's not a casita, but it's like a room for her workout room. Very cool. And then the landscape here with all the trees is just very like natural. So I like that a lot.
Yeah.
And look,
I know she said that she didn't want to sell it, right? And she didn't want to necessarily go that route, but
correct. She did not want to sell it.
Yeah, but I mean, she did have an ample amount of equity built up in the house, so it wasn't like she lost. She actually made a profit on the house, right? With the appreciation. So.
In 2017, she bought it for $594,000, right? And she sold it at a 168% appreciation. Now, mind you, everyone watching and listening, if she would have leased a home or whatever in 2017, she would have no equity. She would have been so screwed right now, but she's not in that position. She was able to use her equity and mortgage it, have a lender put that as debt. Of course, she has to pay monthly on that. However she did it, whether it's a HELOC or a refinance, whatever she ended up doing, pulling money out of her home through equity, she still was able to make money and walk away because she had 168% appreciation from the time she bought it in 2017, and she sold it for 1.6 million. So The
Right.
A plus for real estate
Yeah.
investment. So 2 bed, 2 bath, 1.1500 square feet. I mean, it's really a stellar home. That you got a
Yeah,
gate
it is
here,
beautiful.
all this space. Doesn't look like she has a garage, but who cares? You know, if you can just
Yeah.
drive right up to the house.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it really is. It's a beautiful house.
Yeah, and I
But
didn't
like
even
we said,
think
it's
you
not
could
like
find
she
something.
lost out.
Sorry, say that again.
Oh, I said it just like we said, it's not like she lost out. You
No,
know.
no, I think she did a good job. I'm sure she still has enough money to do whatever she needs to do to buy a condo or whatever it might be. But
Right.
I just found it very very cool knowing that you can buy a house with so much land like this in the Hamptons for under
Hmm.
2 million, and this is only 1.6. I mean, that's
Yeah,
pretty
and
good
it's
right
not
there.
like some actors that I mean did made it. Like for example, Sylvester Stallone, right? I mean, he had almost nothing to his name. He had to sell his
Right.
dog,
Mm-hmm.
and because he refused to give over the rights to Rocky because he wanted to
Right.
play Rocky, right?
Right. Right.
And he
Right.
made a bet on himself. And I mean, look at him now, right? He went and after
That's
Rocky
true. Great
premiered and
analogy.
started making money and whatnot, he went and bought his dog back for like I don't know, hundredfold of the price. It was something ridiculous. But sometimes you just got to take that chance, got to take that risk. But I mean, she wasn't. I didn't take nowhere near as that risk, right? So
Right,
she
right.
wasn't
And
as
I
bad.
think it was kind of messed up that like a lot of influencers, the media,
Mm-hmm.
um, I don't remember what publication did it, but she got really upset and spoke about it, saying how everyone said that she lost her house, that she
Yeah,
literally
no,
lost her house because of what happened. She did not lose her
yeah.
house. Um, and with that being said, someone who is in a worse position that's also an actor and well known is Mickey Rourke. He was recently
Mhm.
vacated or evicted, I'm sorry, from his property in
Right.
Los Angeles, which really sucks. I mean, he's in a bad shape because I guess back in the day he was a superstar. I mean, he looked like a superstar too. Then he became a boxer, and then he kind of
Hmm.
got all messed up with his face and surgeries, and it
Yeah.
kind of messed him up mentally too. And he's been in a couple things. I mean, the last thing I saw that was really good was The Wrestler, but aside from that, I think he might have been a couple other stuff. But he got evicted, man. I mean,
Yeah.
the landowner just got rid of him at this point, and
Right.
now he's staying at a hotel while his manager is paying his hotel fees.
Jesus.
And what I find worse too is she did a GoFundMe for him because he's not making any income. I think she said
Mm,
she's spending like I'd be wrong. I don't want to be. I don't want to remember. I don't remember the amount, but
the
it's
exact
like
amount.
several $1,000s per month. And
Wow.
she made a GoFundMe for him,
Okay.
and he instantly hit success so that he could, find a place to rent. And
Ah,
unfortunately, because of ego or whatever it might be, or
yeah.
maybe he has a point, but in this case, I don't think he does. He was embarrassed by it and he got rid of it and told her, give the money back to all the people that contributed.
Mm, okay.
Hmm. But
Yeah.
that's the thing. Like, if he would have been in this position, this is why I think it's so important to own real estate. Because I know people personally that never bought for whatever reason. They hit their
Right.
50s. For example, I know a particular person, they passed away, they never had property,
Mm,
and their kid was not able to inherit any real estate. And it was
yeah.
just now that person is priced out
Right.
in this area in any case. But if Mickey Rourke would have had an issue like this, he could have easily just sold his house. Not easily, but sold the house and been fine.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
But he rented,
Yeah. So
and
there's nothing
I
to
think he
work
was
with
there
there.
10 years. No.
I know. I know. Can definitely
So
understand that.
yeah,
But
sucks. All right, let's move on to some baseball because we're getting into baseball finally.
yeah.
The World Baseball Classic is coming on. America, everyone's, I'm rooting for America. If you're watching, listening, I hope you are too, or maybe you're going for your team in a different country. Nick,
Hmm.
are you going to go for Italy or America?
Probably the US. Yeah. When it
Good
comes
for
to
you.
baseball.
Good
If
for you. Your loyalty is to this country you
I
live
was
in.
Japanese, maybe I go with Japan, but
Well, Japan might win.
I
They
know.
won last time,
Yeah, they
and
did.
they're
And they have some good
obviously
players.
very good players. But
Hmm.
I'm gonna root for America. So there's Tarek Skubal. He's a Detroit Tigers pitcher. He's the ace of all aces. Like he's one
Hmm.
of the best pitchers out there. And he
Hmm.
just made a remark, and I salute him, and I like him even more than I did before because he's not on my team. But in any case, he's playing for the USA. So is Paul Skeens, who's a great pitcher. But he said the following: "I take a ton of pride in being able to wear USA across the chest, and pride in the United States of America. It's the best country in the world." And that's why he wears that uniform for us. So hopefully they win the World Baseball Classic.
Okay. Yeah. Very America slogan for sure.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So one thing I think we need to incorporate into the podcast at some point potentially is, or maybe get a sponsor. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. I know it could be a little unethical, but gambling. Every podcaster I watch, they all have some gambling element. I go to a baseball game or I watch football and they're talking about gambling in the ads, and it's just everywhere. Everyone's gambling on sports nowadays. So the movement is getting even bigger, right? So it's kind of a shame, though. A lot of these players are getting caught up in gambling and getting in trouble.
Yeah.
Have you taken a look at that story of what's going on?
Yeah, I did.
Okay. You might want to share a little bit. So just telling me.
Which one are you talking about? Talking about the two articles. There was the pitcher, right? And then there was the other
there's
Padres
two pitchers
player
on the Guardians team that got in trouble last year, and they're facing some major charges, and it's kind of a disappointing situation. Is that what you want to talk about first, or you want to speak about the Dodger player, the former Dodger player?
No, let's talk about the pitcher first, because I think that's been a bigger issue in sports than has been publicized really for the past who knows how many decades, you know?
Right.
And I think just now with more information and the transfer of information and everything being out there so much more, that we're just seeing more of it now, right? But I mean, so what I was actually having this conversation with my physical therapist, who's decently into all these different types of conspiracy theories, but he thinks most sports, like professional sports, especially the NFL, are rigged to some level. What's your opinion on that? Would you agree with that? You think that's a possibility?
Well, can you elaborate a little bit on that? What on additional comments he might have said, and maybe your opinion, so I could kind of throw in my 2 cents.
So, like, for example, with the NFL, right? They have the games basically lined up on what team's going to go to the Super Bowl, who's going to win what game, like from the very beginning, before the season even starts. So basically having it all rigged. Because he was using one of the examples that last year, I think it was last year, maybe the year before, the quarterback for the Patriots and the quarterback for the Seahawks were holding the trophy, right? And we're taking a picture by it. And then they ended up going to the Super Bowl.
Oh, so, interesting. Like a little signal.
Yeah, exactly. So he thinks that it's basically all set up from the beginning, more or less like wrestling was, back in the day. I mean, I personally don't think it's rigged like that, as deeply, but I do think what we're about to talk about, where, some of these players get bribed some of the times, maybe a lot of the times, to rig games, rig pitches, whatever it is, make a wrong move here just to kind of get paid off, right? Depending on what the bets are.
Yeah, I think it's a major problem, unfortunately. So I think from what I'm hearing you say is you don't think it's a big thing that happens too much, or you do? If you can.
No, I mean, I don't think it's rigged from the beginning like that. Like, for example, like wrestling was, like, because back in the day, wrestling, everybody, was half the people were saying, oh no, it's real. Half the people were saying, oh no, it's fake, right? And that it's rigged from the beginning on who's going to win what match, right? I don't think that's necessarily the case with, any major league sports team now, and whether it's the MLB, the NFL, whatever, right? But
I go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I do think that there might be some persuasion for the players, a good amount of the time,
individuals,
and whether they take that or not, that's really up to them.
Yeah. And
I think just now, maybe, we're seeing more of it because there's so much openness and information and things get around so much quicker, right?
Well, I have a bigger conspiracy for you in regards to that. And that sports is rigged against majority of people that watch it, men especially,
Okay.
from young to old, meaning it's rigged against you to get to your goals. That's what the conspiracy is out there that I've heard. I'm not claiming that, but that's kind of what's gone around on the internet. And my previous guest on the podcast named Anthony Cabasa, who is a very well-known investigative journalist, had said that he thinks it's basically rigged against you in many ways because it takes all your time and money away, especially people that watch it. Not all of them, but a big majority of people don't make enough money, yet they spend their time where they could be spending with their kids or their family or whatever, but they're watching the sport, they're spending money on jerseys, spending money on flying out to go see it or whatever it is. And it's equivalent to the gladiator, right? The gladiator days in the Roman Colosseum.
Exactly what I was going to say. Yep.
Exactly.
You give the people entertainment and they stay calm and compliant.
Right. When things are in really breaking news, like real serious matters in the country or globally, you have the sport competition, World Series or Super Bowl to gravitate to and forget about. So they can kind of do things in the background. So I think to some degree that can be true a little bit, but without sports, I think things would be a lot more boring. Maybe people would be more violent, maybe, because I think sports makes a way to be competitive in an ethical way. Excuse me. Competitive in an ethical way. So I think that's special about it. And there's a lot of good things about it. But Anthony Cabasa was saying, if you're listening and watching, if you make less than 100,000, you should not be watching sports. According to him, you need to make at least 100K to watch sports.
If you're not making $100,000 a year, if you don't own a home, or can afford one, and especially if you are married with kids and you still don't own a home or aren't working towards a goal, you have no right to be watching any sports. You should be banned. It should be illegal.
And then you can go ahead and do your thing. But besides that, he's against it.
Yeah, then you should be focusing your time, your energy on basically making money and doing other things, right? Making a name for yourself. And I mean, that goes right along the lines of, what Andrew Tate always says too, right?
What does he say? I didn't know you watched
exactly what we just talked about. That, I mean, one of the things is that, these things are put in front of people to keep them really for men, to keep men compliant, right? So, because then you would have uprisings, you would have revolts, you would have things like that would arise,
I really wish we had AJ on the pod today, because he would have some remarks about that, and then you guys could kind of disagree or not disagree, but you guys could go out a little bit. I don't think he's an Andrew Tate fan, although I think he was before until recently. I think he definitely has a point in regards to that, because you got to focus on yourself. But going back to the gambling aspect of it, whether it's rigged or not, I don't know. I'm not a gambler, especially when it comes to stuff like that. I barely do a roulette, if that. And I'm not really educated in how all that works and putting in bets and all that. But I do feel that maybe the NFL is easier to manipulate than baseball is. However, there's some baseball players that have been in it, and we'll talk about it in a moment. There's a recent Padres player. There's the Guardians player, former Dodger player, and a current Dodger player that was kind of framed, right? But Michael Francis, if anyone's has watched him before, the former mob boss, he also, from what I remember, back in the day when he was involved in the mob, he would approach players directly. I think it was more college sports, and he would basically hook them. And so would all the mobsters, right? They would hook a particular player to make a little money on the side, because, especially back then, they didn't get paid that much. But he would hook them, but with a little bit of money, then they just want more and more and more, because that's like the gambling mentality, right? So if they, did not want to keep going, things could get, dangerous, dangerous, however you want to say it. So, I think for this example, we'll start off before we get into the Guardians player and Yasiel Puig. There's a baseball player that I didn't know about. He's a young guy named, very hard to pronounce. This happened, I think, last year or 2 years ago. It's actually 2 years ago. His name is Tucapita Marcano. Very interesting name, right? He was in the minor leagues for the most part, but he was last with the Padres. And essentially, he took out bets on his own team when he was initially right before on what team was, I think it was the White Sox, or it might have been the Pirates. And according to that, his total amount that he betted on was $87,000. So about $378 a bet. He only won 4.3% of those bets. So he was a terrible gambler because he was gambling on his own team at the time, being the Pirates.
Yeah.
Terrible. But he got caught while he was on the Padres. And now it's kind of effed up. I mean, I get it. You got to put your foot down in the organization and let players know you cannot do this because it's illegal. And it takes the integrity out of the game. So I get that. But he is a young guy. I don't know if they should have banned him for life. He's fucked. Like, he cannot make money anymore, dude. But he is in a independent American Association of Pro Baseball, but he'll never make the money he could have if he would have not done that. I mean, that's why ethics is everything.
Yeah, definitely not worth it. I mean, especially the amount that he made.
Right. There's speculation too. The reason why the MLB went so hard on this particular matter was during the same time the Shohei Ohtani allegations also took place. So there was two of the problems going on. They had to attack one and completely wipe it out. But Shohei Ohtani's former interpreter is the one that was found guilty and did all that betting on the side without Shohei knowing. So they definitely went after. I mean, that guy's in jail or prison or whatever, so he's kind of screwed too. And and rightly so, because he screwed over his own friend and whatever.
Exactly.
So
yeah, we talked about that in quite a bit in one of the
a few years ago. 2024. It wasn't last year. It definitely wasn't last year that it took place anyway. So before we get to the Guardians, there's a Yasiel Puig. He was the star of the Dodgers at a time. He's from Cuba. Very, very entertaining guy. He would always make these mannerisms when he would, bat, and he was a wild man. He was found guilty in federal court for gambling, but it wasn't necessarily on the gambling aspect, but he was found guilty for lying to the FBI or whoever the federal people were. Let me see if I could find that particular thing here.
Yeah, they said that he was charged with basically lying to the authorities, to federal agents, when he was questioned about knowing about different the gambling organization that was run by, who's it, Wayne Nix, right?
Is it what?
Wayne Nix. That's who he was.
Oh yeah. That's right. That's
the guy that was running the gambling organization.
Right. Yeah, it's too bad, but according to him and his attorney, they're saying he didn't intentionally mean to lie to the authorities. The Spanish, there was no Spanish interpreter with the Spanish that they have in Cuba, according to Yasiel Puig. So he's saying that those charges should be dropped because he didn't actually, do what they're accusing him of. So I don't know. I do wish him the best though, because he could face some major prison time. Because it's one thing to commit a crime and, be guilty for it or whatever, but then it's one thing to lie to the authorities and then you go to prison for just the lie and not so much what you were accused of. And that's a shitty situation. So I kind of feel bad for him. Who knows what the situation is? We'll have to see how that plays out as time goes by, and then we'll revert back and talk about it. But okay, so the Guardians pitchers, Emmanuel Clase and Luis Ortiz, they were allegedly involved in a gambling scheme. And the bettors won that they were helping at least $450,000, and they're facing some major prison time potentially. So they're also screwed. And it's an unfortunate situation because they were good players, or good pitchers, and I don't know what their contracts were, but I don't think it was well worth for them to do something like this, because now not only are they going to be banned from MLB, but they're going to go to prison potentially.
Right. Yeah, because I think as far as the number of bets that they made, I think it only came out to what, $360 something a bet.
No, that was the other one. That was the Padres one. Yeah. Oh, okay. But in this one in particular, they were pitching during 48 games, and that's when they were doing the scheme, and they got caught. So they both pleaded not guilty, though. I believe. Let me see. But they faced 20 years in prison, dude.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Unfortunate.
I mean, but they pleaded guilty at first,
and didn't they? And then they
I
came
don't
back
know about
and
that.
said,
Let me see. Let me read this real quick. No, that it wasn't him. It wasn't them.
"Oh, them is a Padres player then." But anyway, they rigged the pitches.
Yeah, they rigged the pitches. So,
Yeah.
you know, they threw particular balls to intentionally help. That again, that's the thing that I'm not like experienced in as a bettor. So people
Right.
use an app wherever they can do it legally and depending on the state that they're in. If you go to Vegas, it's amazing, dude. Like I was at the Caesar's Palace and the betting section there is spectacular. At the Wynn too. Like I don't even know how this works. I have my brother-in-law, your friend Sonny. He knows how this works. I need to learn from him so I can
Yeah.
better understand how exactly these bettors were basically, you know, betting the way they did with the pitches itself on
Right.
these guys. But yeah, terrible thing to get involved in gambling when it's illegal, especially like these baseball players. Like, what the hell are you doing, dude? Like,
Yeah, I
you
know,
have a
right?
name. You got out of the Dominican Republic. You have a
Right.
torch to carry for your family, and you end up screwing your life by doing this. Not good.
Yeah, it makes
But
no sense.
for those watching and listening, we should really, I mean, what do you guys think about having us include some gambling sponsors or just, I don't know, maybe we should just like incorporate some type of something fun. Maybe it doesn't even have to be gambling, but it can be something related to gambling and make it a fun situation. Like we do the Firehouse Edition, Rapid Firehouse Edition. We could
Right.
incorporate some type of sports gambling fun activity in the podcast. Maybe we'll do something like that. So give us your like.
Legal, of course.
Legal, yes. But we got to learn. So maybe we
Yeah.
should spend some time with Sonny and just figure
I
out
was
how
gonna
to
say.
actually gamble.
Yeah, let's consult Sonny, see what he says.
Yeah, exactly. I think we're gonna have to do that.